But I feel like we're digressing into a more conservative era. And the question then, what are we conserving if we have never truly been great, especially great towards Black people? Answer that, come back to me. I got you. YouTube, what's up, baby? It's your favorite antisocial extrovert, your favorite awkward black boy, Blake, Mother Love Dupree, and I'm back at it again at the Diary of Dupree, where I enjoy the peace and calm and quiet of my little corner on the internet. And this is the channel where I can let hoes be turned every which way but loose. And if you supported me, you're one of the hoes that I do not let loose. And I appreciate you. And bitch, I love you. Because bitch, I said you're bad. Period. And black like that. And I'm black like that, and I will always be black like that. Sometimes it has been made very evident in my life on very certain examples, very distinct examples in my life and memories, where me being black like that was just not welcome and not warranted, or me being queer like that was definitely not welcome and not warranted sometimes and most times in black spaces. But there are two things about me that are not going to change. I'm black like that. I'm queer like that. I almost said the F word, but I do want to start making some money on here. I'm black like that, and I'm queer like that. And it used to be a safe space for the most part, at least, with the veil uncovered on TikTok, to be black like that and queer like that. But baby, since TikTok came back, it's looking like Instagram, and not in a good way. So I'm waking up this morning and I'm seeing black fatigue trending again. And I'm like, okay, black fatigue trending again. No surprise. We have an administration that is anti-black and proud to be anti-black. We have so many people in positions of power within American politics alone that are dedicated to racism. Of course, black fatigue is trending again. Why wouldn't it be? So I'm looking at these videos and I'm noticing that black fatigue got a remix, got their beat, done, got some surgery, because the word black fatigue has a new meaning in 2025. And of course, it's to enable racist rhetoric. Here we go.
Well, let's talk. This is the first time I'm hearing this phrase on TikTok, but I could use context clues and understand what it is. So, funny story, I'm scrolling on TikTok, minding my own business, just getting lost in the videos, and a white woman pops up in my algorithm and it's titled Black Fatigue. And I'm like, this should be interesting. Now, this is a creator that I've really grown to respect their videos. Basically, in her video, she's calling out the black community for different ignorant things that we do. And it's not just her. I've seen a lot of white people on this app kind of come out. It's almost like, raise your hand if you've been personally victimized by Regina George type of videos. And that's what they're doing toward black people. Here's the thing. The videos that I've personally seen is not racism. It's accountability. It's one of those to where they are tired. They are fed up, to where they have opened their camera and they start confessing the things that agitate them about the black community. And because we have gotten to that point, you know who I blame? The black community. I mean, for one, the actions that they are mentioning is clearly from the black community. Black people in the comment sections are just like, this is racism, this is this, and this is this. I blame y'all. This is what happens when the black community cry wolf or cry racism in instances that's not racism, to where now we have a hard time knowing the difference between what is actually racism and what is actually accountability. We've allowed this to happen because we do not like being held accountable for some of the ignorance, some of the degeneracy, some of the just plain right foolishness that comes out of our community. We refuse to address it. And when we have people who address it, they are called coons. They are called like judgmental. And so now you have white people entering the chat and said, you know what? We're tired of it. We're tired of being called racist for holding y'all accountable to the ignorant things that's happening.
App just now to see that the word black fatigue is trending amongst a lot of different people. And before I made this video, I scrolled on it and I said, let me see what people are talking about.
Because black fatigue is real. I think society as a whole is there. We are just so unbelievably fed up with the ghetto ratchet behavior, entitlement, the victimhood, camaraderie, animalistic, This is why people have black fatigue. I'm sick and tired of opening up TikTok and seeing brawls on cruise ships, brawls in the airport, like literally the most ghetto behavior. We're tired.
A white woman was talking about Shiloh Hendrix, the lady that called the 5-year-old the N-word. And she said, that shouldn't have happened, but people have black fatigue. People are tired of ghetto-ness, loudness. People are just tired of black people. So we all have fatigue. And it got me thinking, I've heard the phrase black fatigue before, and I know in my heart of hearts that that relates to the fatigue that black people experience existing in this country and around the world, dealing with racism and prejudices that have been put on us due to the history of violence, Jim Crow, segregation. So how are white people appropriating black fatigue? They replaced DEI with black fatigue. And you guys are using that because you're tired of being held accountable for things that you should be held accountable for in this country, and you want to be openly racist to us. This entire discourse is rooted in racism. You want to be able to say you're tired of black people for having a voice. You're tired of us for existing in spaces we exist in. You're tired of us for not all being poor. You're tired of the fact that some of us are doing better than you, but when we live in a country that is based on racism and systematic racism that still exists today, you can't be mad that we're calling you out for it. What the fuck are we talking about? America is a country that suffers from delusion, lack of education, and basically exists in the current and a consistent state of dementia. Because the cognitive dissonance that many white people have that exist in this country it alarms me. The fact that this country was founded and predicated on owning bodies and killing off natives. That is the foundation story of this country. Yes, we became one of the most successful countries in the world, but that is the heart and soul of this country. It is rooted in racism. The Declaration of Independence was rooted in racism. The Constitution was written with racism. So the fact that you think you can exist, and we're only out of segregation for how many years now? Not even a generation, not even 2 generations out of segregation. The fact that you think you can exist without racism internally inside of you is crazy. It's crazy. We're all racist. Everybody that exists out of a racist system is racist, especially if you are the one that benefited from said racism. You have to do a lot of unlearning, unpacking, and re-educating yourself onto what racism means, because you guys hear the word racism, you're like, I'm not racist, I have black friends. It doesn't mean you're going out with crosses on fire. There are levels to the internalized racism, the internalized biases versus violent, aggressive racism. But racism is the foundation of America. So the fact that you don't want to hear about it is not my problem. The funniest thing about white people in this country is that the lack of education that they have on their own history and how they've been all sold a lie and socialized to believe that they're here and we're violent and they're not is fucking crazy. You ever seen a redneck? You ever been to a trailer park? You ever seen a meth addict in New Mexico? That all of the people on welfare in this country are white. 96% of them are white. But meanwhile, black people are poor, uneducated, animalistic, violent. All the list goes on. Your ancestors literally killed off millions of people who are on this land, stole it, raped, robbed, killed them, stole us, raped, robbed, killed us, procreated with us, and made us procreate with each other and our families. Yeah, the list goes on. The only people who are sick with animalistic practices are you and your ancestors. Upon further review, after seeing 5 or 6 black people make this black fatigue video, it got me thinking into the respectability politics of this type of video they're making, because not only are they generalizing the actions of all black people and lumping us into one group, you are policing the actions of people per the standardized or acceptable behavior that white people are saying that we should have. Interesting. What you're doing by making these videos is you're allowing white people to not take accountability and not hold themselves to a standard that they can just be racist and prejudiced towards us and say that their behaviors are acceptable and their way of life and living is acceptable in this country, but ours isn't. It's really befuddling me that you as a black person can go online with your chest and say you have black fatigue because everybody's ghetto, or you have black fatigue because everybody's loud. That's not the fucking case. And even if you are, quote unquote, this highly educated, highly classy black person, you're still loud. You still have an auntie who looks like the person you're talking about. You still have cousins who are the people you're talking about. So why make this video? I will never understand black people that pander to white people. I will never. There's nothing in my being that would ever allow me to have an internal conversation externally on this app so white people feel comfortable saying how they feel about us in the open and make it a whole thing. Imagine you are allowing white person to say they have black fatigue. They're tired of black people being victims. They're tired of black people saying racism. They're tired of black people existing. Every day on this app is something new. Y'all gotta do better. Do better.
So y'all just saw those two clips, right? And so black fatigue is replacing DEI. And black fatigue used to mean I'm black and I'm suffering from the effects of being black in the world that is anti-black. That's what it used to mean. They done took the word and basically gaslit us into thinking that the word means I'm white and I'm sick of black people. That's all it is. Like, if you are a fan of the black fatigue movement in 2025, you are a fan of being anti-black. And it just breaks my heart. Like, people don't talk about the heartbreaking aspect of being black and just minding your black ass business and living in a world that has historically hated you just for who you are. Like, we get on here and we put on these fronts that, fuck racism and fuck discrimination. And while yes, that is true, this shit is heartbreaking. It breaks a black person's heart to know that you are hated solely for being who you are and solely for something that you cannot change. Like, two things were sure. I have very, very, very vivid memories of hearing the N-word, not from my people. Like, I will never forget when my sister's father was alive. My mother and I and him went to his job in Country Club Hills, Illinois. And this man rolls past us, his co-worker rolls past us and calls him a nigger. White co-workers. And says, "Hey, nigger boy." Called him a nigger and a boy, and he's a grown-ass man with his third child on his way. But that was so heartbreaking to see him experience, because I know him being called a nigger boy was me being called a nigger boy, was my mother being called a nigger gal. And this was in 2011 or 2010 in Illinois. And people think that Illinois is this safe blue haven and the safe blue space. No, bitch, Chicago may be blue and not entirely blue, because you find yourself in the wrong neighborhood and be black, see what happens to you. But Illinois itself is very conservative, very racist, very homophobic. If it wasn't for the city of Chicago, Illinois would be a red state, just like its sister, Indiana. And so I knew that I was two things before I knew all of who I was. I knew I was gay, I knew I was a fag, and I knew I was a nigga. That made very evident, very clear before I was the age of 13. I had heard fag and nigga from people who weren't gay or black a few times in my life. And that is heartbreaking to go through. That is heartbreaking to experience. That is heartbreaking to know that no matter how good of a person I am on the inside, somebody literally wants me dead because of the skin that I'm in. And why? I don't know, because I don't have that same rhetoric in my heart. I just can't think of common sense, or I can't think of a reliable thought process as to why somebody would be so evil, or why millions of people throughout the course of history have dedicated their lives to being anti-black or anti just respecting everybody. You know what I'm saying? Anti-blackness creeps its way through every conversation within the American diaspora, because America is built on racism. Race is involved in every aspect of American media, of American politics, of American social issues. Race is a factor because this country was built on the backs of my people, and we were never given our credit. We were never given a thank you. We were never given an apology. We had to go into a war and help white folks win that war just to get the freedom we have today. And what's crazier is the fact that we aren't really free. We were never really free. Yes, I'm living in this condo. Yes, I have a car. Yes, I have a job. But I would have so much more if my people were given their just dues, or if my people weren't enslaved for centuries, if my people weren't taken advantage of, if my people weren't gaslit into thinking that wanting respect instead of appropriation and wanting appreciation instead of discrimination is a bad thing. I just made a video last week about Korean people strolling in clubs that they probably wouldn't even let black people in. That a place that has been dedicated to anti-blackness is strolling and stealing dances and art and aspects of black culture that are solely for only a certain portion of black people, mind you, because strolling, you're not supposed to stroll unless you're D9 or in a fraternity or sorority. I can't even stroll without getting my ass whooped These Koreans over here strolling in the club that wouldn't even let my black ass in. Let that sink in. And then you probably would understand why every day I wake up, there's some more heartbreaking shit. And it's heartbreaking because it's anti-black, and I'm black like that. And nobody judges white folks for being white like that. White pride, white pro, like everybody is fine with being prideful of who they come from, even in Hispanic culture, even in Asian culture. It's okay to be proud of who you are in those cultures, but it's not okay for me to be proud of who I am with my black ass. I will never understand it. And I feel like you can't understand evil, because that's all the shit boils down to. And we're getting really deep. And I didn't mean to get so deep because we're talking about black fatigue. But I really want the sister who made a video about black fatigue to really wake up, girl. You are enabling racist rhetoric and racist behavior. If you look at the comments, those are nothing but white people having very racist issues with black people. Oh, I'm sick of y'all being loud. I'm sick of y'all being mean. I'm sick of y'all fighting. Bitch, every culture is loud, every culture is mean, and every culture fights at some point in time in a timeline. When y'all fight, y'all enslave people for hundreds of years. When y'all mean, y'all causing genocides. When y'all loud, Trump. When we fight, we get it over with. We don't shoot up schools. You know, I can go on and on and on as to why white fatigue is not the same as dear white people, because black people cannot be racist. You know what I'm saying? I can go on and on about how black fatigue is not the same thing as dear white people, because dear white people was us holding white people accountable for their racism, because there is power in racism. Yes, all cultures and races can be discriminatory, but black folks do not have the ability and the power to inflict on that discrimination. Therefore, we cannot be racist. So the comments that I'm seeing of people saying, oh, I'm sick of hearing dear white people and dear white women. Okay, no, you're sick of being held accountable, because y'all never gave us an apology. We're never ever highlighted when we create a dance that goes viral, when we create a fashion trend that is on every runway in Europe and the islands and in New York Fashion Week. We're never given our credit. We're always being victims of murder, victims of genocide, victims of redlining, victims of political, social, and cultural racism. But the minute that we express our disdain and just want some basic human decency is the minute black fatigue comes out. White folks fight more than a mug. White folks get more Section 8 than black folks. White folks be tearing each other up, and nobody's coming out with white fatigue. We use sayings like dear white people because when we say those sayings, we are bringing out instances of racism. Y'all are bringing out instances of us just being loud and ghetto, but are we messing with you? No, we're not. We're not fucking with you. We're not trying to take your land. We're not trying to steal from your culture. We just want to have peace in a world that we did not ask to be brought into, bitch. Like, hello? And it's so loud. Like, let's really get into it. Ever since TikTok went away, came back, the comments that they flag and don't flag, drastic shift. Very drastic shift. Like, somebody made a comment complimenting me saying, wow, you got a great ass. This comment was flagged. But then somebody made a comment literally this morning as I was thinking about making this video, when I was talking about Janet being the blueprint of pop princess today and not necessarily Madonna, and me admitting that I have bias in that because I grew up a Janet Jackson fan and not necessarily a Madonna fan. This person made the most racist comment, and just, it wasn't even flagged. It was just boom, here's this comment. That would have been a flag comment. It probably wouldn't even made it to my page. It probably wouldn't even made it to the server to get posted onto my page. But ever since TikTok came back, no shade, shit been a little racist. It's been looking a lot like Instagram. Like, you go on Instagram, YouTube, them girls calling you every faggot in the book, every nigger in the book, every hard ER in the book, every coon in the book. And that's why I just was so happy when I found TikTok, because at least they were flagging comments like those initially, especially during the 2020 movement. But when they brought TikTok back, and then the first person they think was Donald Trump, a bitch knew what was up. But you know, it's like, where can black people go? There is no Wakanda. There is no black planet. It seems, and I hate to sound so damn deep and sad, but it seems like our only freedom from these type of oppressions, because it's worldwide, it's not just in America, is death. And that's the hope, that death is the answer, that what we seek, because we really don't know until we get there. You know, I wonder where the spirits are who jumped into the sea on the way during the slave trade. Did they have the same thought process as mine? And I know I come from a place of privilege. I'm living in my privilege. I'm blessed. I'm very aware of my blessings. But I can understand the disdain that they had on a smaller scale, because when I wake up and every day there's a new form of anti-Blackness and it's being covered and popularized in mainstream, it's disheartening. It's heartbreaking. And that's some real shit. Like, I may have to like go away for a couple weeks because this shit, it's a lot, y'all. It's a lot. If you're not black and you have true black friends, and if you're a true friend to those black people, I should say, and you have black family members, give them bitches a hug. Give us some food with no raisins in it, and you know what food I'm talking about. But like, we need some sort of relief. It seems like there is no relief anywhere from a political standpoint to a social standpoint. You get on TikTok to get a sense of relief, and TikTok has now become the new safe space for racist behavior. And I also just feel like we were making so much progress as a generation, Gen Z specifically, 6, 7 years ago. We were respecting terms on a more wide range. Seemed to be less homophobia at some point in time. But I feel like we're digressing into a more conservative era, and the question then, what are we conserving if we have never truly been great, especially great towards black people? Answer that, come back to me. I got you. Till then, y'all, look in the mirror. You're beautiful. You've been that. You are that. You be that. I love you deep. Whatever it is you want to be, it's already happening, baby. Till next time. Peace.